To call the first of two public hearings to order. We're going to have a public hearing for the proposed donation of $10,000 from the Byrne Foundation for the LHS Science Olympiad dues and fees. Do we have any additional information about this?
No additional information.
Okay, is there any comment on this donation? We'd like to thank the Byrne Foundation, as always, for their generous donation, especially for the LHS Science Olympiad, who I hear did really well in their competition. First and third, is that correct? First and third place. So congratulations to them, and thank you again to the Byrne Foundation. So that will close the public hearing, number one, and open public hearing number two on the proposed donation of $5,000 from the Post-22 American Legion for the LHS Baseball backstop repairs. Is there any additional information on this?
Nope. We'd like to thank Post-22 American Legion for their support for LHS sports.
All right, thank you. I'll echo that gratitude for the American Legion. Is there any comment on this hearing and this donation? All right, hearing none, we will close that public hearing as well. All right, so I'd like to call to order the board meeting, and please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, public comment will occur during the public comment portion of the meeting and is done via raising your hand remotely or in person. During public comment, once acknowledged, please state your name and ward so that it can be included in the minutes, and please limit your time to 3 minutes. Public comment is governed by board policy BEDH. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No. There is a person online. If you're here for public comment, please raise your hand.
I haven't opened it up yet, but that's
you
okay.
haven't opened it?
I
I'm
will.
sorry.
That's okay. I'm going to open public comment right now. If you would like to make a public comment online, please raise your hand. In the meantime, is there anyone in the room who would like to make a public comment? All right, seeing no one, is there anyone online? No. Okay. We will reopen public comment at the end of the meeting to see if there's anyone else. Correspondence, Mary.
Yes, there was one letter. It asked us to carefully consider where we put the early childhood program at Hanover Street.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, we need a motion to approve the public minutes from March 27th, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from Wednesday, March 27th, 2024.
Motion by MJ, can I get a second? Second by Mary. Are there any additions, corrections to the minutes?
It would probably be best if they spelled John's last name correctly.
Oh, that's a good one to start with, that he didn't even
Thanks.
catch. Good job.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but
Thanks. All right.
Names are important.
Yes, names are important. Any other corrections, changes? No? Okay. All those in favor of accepting the public minutes from March 27th, 2024, please raise your hands. Okay, unanimous, thank you. I need a motion to approve the nominations, renominations, and acknowledge resignations and retirements.
I'll make a motion to approve the nominations and resignation sheet dated April 17th, 2024.
Okay, motion by MJ, can I get a second? Second by John, thank you. Any questions, comments on the nominations and resignations? Yes, MJ?
So I just have a question on the principal one. It says it's effective 4/17/2024, so are we superseding the interim principal contract and going straight to principal this year?
That's correct. We're moving into a permanent position.
Okay. Any other questions?
I would like to welcome and congratulate our new official Lebanon Middle School principal.
Everyone is jumping the gun of all the things. Yes, welcome, Tom. Thank you for coming. Thank you for accepting. We appreciate that. Any other questions about the nominations, resignations? So am I right that the fourth grade teacher at Hanover Street is moving to become a reading specialist, which will open up a fourth grade slot?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right, so all those in favor of accepting the nominations, resignations dated April 17th, 2024? Okay, thank you, unanimous. All right, let's see, moving on. We do not have our student reporter is not here, but Principal Smith is here in her place.
Good evening, all. Son.
Yeah.
Yep. We had an assembly on Monday. We teamed with Dartmouth Health Council did. It was supposed to be at the end of Wellness Week, but we had a snow day. So we had a group called Think Fast Interactive come in. We're typically not huge fans of assemblies because they can go wrong, but our kids are always good, and so they were good again on Monday. It was basically, they had fun, they danced, big presentations, pretty wild scene, but all in constructive and good fun. Hopefully they left with a message that vaping is bad for you, please don't drink and drive, and be careful with drugs, or don't use them, I should say. So I think that message resonated. You can kind of watch the kids and how they respond to the message being given, and it was all positive and good, and they were a great group to work with, and hopefully we'll have them back next year. So I do want to mention that Science Olympiad, I believe, is a 3-time reigning New Hampshire state champion, and that's a pretty awesome thing. And it's not by leagues or divisions, it's the entire state. So we're competing with schools of 2,000 plus kids. And so not only, last year I think we got first and second place, so this year first and third, and so that group's headed to Kansas City, I believe. Just want to also comment on the school. I don't know if you've been by the high school lately, but they are ready to seed and to pour concrete sidewalks. It looks incredible. We were in the building inside today. It's hard to imagine how different that front of that school is going to look and how it's going to present. So we are so grateful, and Ekman's been wonderful to work with. We're just excited to be coming in the front door next year, and which is pretty cool stuff. I was going to say one more thing. Our math team also won the state championship too in their particular division. We're not bringing home trophies in other places, but we're doing really well in those areas, and that's equally as good. So we're it's a good feel in the building. We're back. It's always better when the sun shines. The kids are outside having lunch. We had a good week. We always, it's always kind of a bit of a slippery slide after April break to graduation. But because April break is so early now, there's like still snow on the ground, so they're not getting too wound up. So a good scene all around. Happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Principal Hill? Thank you.
All right,
Appreciate
thanks.
that.
Lil, can I just,
Yeah.
I'm not seeing the discussion and action for the renewal of contracts
Oh, that was a good
on our
point.
agenda.
I was going to say, I think it was supposed to be part of B, which is nominations.
Okay.
Renominations.
We'll
Oh,
go
yeah, I was
back
under
to-
renominations, so.
Okay.
I guess we should have done that.
We're going to back up one bit. So, yeah. So we have our renomination forms for all of our contracts. So we've done this in the past as a group, and then we've done them individually. How do we want to do them this time? Don't think we have to, we've done them differently every time that I've been here, so I don't know what the,
I think it's probably fine to do them as a group unless someone wants to pull out. I mean,
particular
just sort of make note that there are continuing contracts, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth.
right. So we're gonna make a motion to approve all the contracts as a group, but we are approving as part of that group, continuing contracts for people who are in their third year, fourth year,
Second,
second
third.
year, first year, third, fourth, fifth, right? All the way through?
Not first, second.
And sixth.
And sixth. Okay. All of those years are included in this.
And for
Can I-
new board members, the continuing contracts are those for year 7 and beyond. True?
Yes. Right?
I believe so, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or year 4.
Depending on what their,
Depending on where
what
they
their
came from.
contract, right.
Right, good point.
Right. So people who are continuing on, who are not having individual contracts, any longer have the continuing contract. So we need a motion to that effect.
Not it. So moved.
Okay. So Got that? Great, excellent. She's all over it. All right, can I get a second? A motion by Jessica, second by MJ. All right, any questions, any of the contracts of any year? Okay, all those in favor of the renomination, continuing contracts and contracts first through sixth year, raise your hand.
For 2024.
Or 2024, 2025. Thank you. All right, thank you all, unanimous. Back on track. All right, so we have some student recognition from the superintendent.
Sure, I'm pleased to share some exciting news with the board regarding one of our students from Lebanon High School. Zoe Hill has been recognized as a finalist in the top 3 for the 2024 Community Impact Social Justice Award in the youth category. This award is presented by the BIPOC Employee Resource Group to highlight individuals who are actively engaged in social justice work within our communities and workplaces, bringing awareness and recognition to their efforts and mission. Zoe has been nominated for their outstanding work in the Upper Valley, advocating for visibility and safety for transgender youth. This recognition speaks to Zoe's dedication and impact in promoting social justice and creating a more inclusive environment for all. We wish Zoe the best of luck, as the winner will be announced at an upcoming event at the end of the month. Let's take a moment to acknowledge and celebrate Zoe's remarkable achievements and contributions to the community of Lebanon. Thank you.
Yay.
Zoe could not be here tonight. They have play practice.
She's in the play, so this is their run-up. Congratulations to Zoe. All right, that brings us to our SAU leadership team update, superintendent update.
Good evening. I have a few updates. First, I wanted to acknowledge the Lebanon High School Science Olympiad team, who once again clinched first place in the state meet. This victory is a testament to the hard work and dedication of our students, teachers, parents, coaches, and volunteers. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to each one of you in making these achievements possible. As our Raiders head to Michigan, actually, for the finals, let's wish them the very best of luck. This week, I met with the Lebanon Police Department to discuss our proposed MOU, which has now been vetted through our legal department. This agreement will be on the agenda for the May 8th meeting. We made significant progress in preparing for the fire department's move-in, which is scheduled for June. I'd like to thank our facilities and IT teams for organizing this space. We do anticipate the fire department being on our 3rd floor for about approximately 18 months. Conversations are ongoing with the Boys and Girls Club about potentially using a classroom at Hanover Street Elementary School. We expect a more formal update and possible MOU for the May 8th meeting. Preparations for the airplane build progress are progressing. Over the break, we updated the 3-bay garage for classroom use. The Aviation Museum has currently raised over $100,000 through grants, and we will start our public fundraising in the next couple of weeks. We are planning to bring a completed RV-12 to Lebanon for public viewing, and potential volunteers have expressed a lot of interest. I think we have over 30 or 40 current people that are looking to volunteer and mentor for the project. Lastly, we're in the midst of hiring season, and we're currently interviewing for several positions. Next meeting, we will provide a jobs openings report. And this week, I updated the board for an opening for an assistant principal at LMS, and that position has since been posted. That concludes my update. Any questions?
How well received was our updated version of our?
Surprisingly well. Yeah. So Drummond Wilson saw it before it went to the police department, and he had some corrections it just made for legal jargon, but they had very little suggestions to update. So I think we're in a good standing to move forward, and already started planning what the summer will look like for the CRO, with collaboration with Camp K, the rec department, and any school district activities that we want to invite him to.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments for Amy? Okay, great, thank you. All right, business administrator update.
Good evening. Before we get into the packet, a few things. Just want to let you guys know that we received earlier today officially temporary CO for the cafeteria and the new classrooms, so that's good news. Besides we're going to be moving in, I don't know what the plan is or anything, but that space is allowed by the city to be used sort of before we thought, so that's good. In HR news, I wanted to say, Xavier and I went to a career fair today talking about openings. There was a career fair at Plymouth State. It was our first time we went there, but we're trying to do different things. There's some service called Handshake that he subscribed to that sends our name to, I guess you guys know what it is, but never heard of it, several different schools. And people have said, I saw you guys on Handshake. So it's a good way to at least start. A lot of the kids we talk to, young adults we talk to, are like juniors in college, but at least we're on our radar. You know, it's odd to talk to people to like, someone's like, you're so far away, I live in Concord. I'm like, it's like 50 minutes. It's not that, oh, that's it? So I'm dead serious. It's like, it's funny. So, you know, it was positive. It was an easy, you know, it was cheap money, and it got our names out to an institution that in New Hampshire produces a lot of educators, so that's good. I gave you an audit that I expect you to study intently and with eagerness. No, I give you an audit, do with what you will. I mean, it's just full of numbers and stuff. The management discussion and analysis was generated by me, but the rest of it is really the numbers from the auditors. And in your packet, there's a memo that the auditors give, and I didn't know that they included as the memo packet the audit adjustments. So at the end, we'll get to that next, because that's last in the packet. What's next in the packet? So we'll go in order. Next in the packet is the monthly expenditure report. I tried to put a pretty good narrative there. We're on the same track. I just wanted to paint a picture, not of panic, but of tightness. When I do sort of what I start to do this year is I start taking our numbers that are official in there, and then I take out numbers that I know we have to spend, like our fund balance, the capital reserve.
I think your mic is no
Your
longer
mic is
on or something.
I could yell.
No, is it?
Hello.
Yeah, there you go. He's not.
All right, so I just start calculating some of the things I know we have to expend that aren't really showing on this report, like our contribution to cap reserve funds, like special ed said they're going to probably need another $400,000 before the end of the year. So when I start subtracting all that, I'm reserving $80,000 additional to pay for food service, because we have a $20,000 in the budget for food service contribution. I think it's going to be more like $100,000. That's why the 80 comes up. So the point is that I see that we have probably about $100,000 left on top of the money to go back to taxes and to our cap reserve, which is really tight. But okay. So that's what I wanted to project. I would remind the board that we have a retained fund balance of about $850,000 that can be used to, well, basically pretty much what the board wants, but certainly to offset taxes. So we're in a good space as a big picture. I hate to usually I don't even talk about the retained fund balance. It's there, but it is technically part of the fund balance that in June will either be retained or go back to offset taxes. So that does come into play. So we're doing okay. What happens now, so we set off purchase orders, and what typically happens now is you start canceling purchase orders and finding out that there was still money left in purchase orders. Special ed typically says, I need $400,000, but they end up needing less than that. So it's, I'm not blaming them, it's just the way it is. Everybody's like, I need every penny. And so I'm not in any concerning worry, even though it's way tighter. Usually it's like, no big deal. It is a little tighter this year, but still good. The second report I put in here, which is related to the same thing, is revenues. I just got this done this week. And for revenues, it goes to the 15th. That's just actually a matter of the ease of running the report. So the first report is as of April 1st. This is 4/15. There's not a big difference between the times. It would be more effort for me to make it 4/1. But you can see at the end on the bottom right, we're $35,000 to the better on projected revenues. That's probably pretty accurate. In the receivable column, that's money we haven't received yet that we're going to receive. There's two areas I have in italics: tuition for preschool. You see we budgeted $20,000. That's about a third of the way down, in case you're looking. We budgeted $20,000. We received about 10. I I estimate we're going to receive about 6. The word I got today was we're billing 7,700, so 6 was conservative. And the other one, Medicaid reimbursement, that's the big one that sticks out. That's about 2/3 of the way down, 1,450 Medicaid reimbursement. We budget 200,000. We budget 200,000 every year. We're usually right around that mark. But you can see year to date, we've only collected $8,000. And so obviously I've been asking questions, what's going on? And we do have at least $100,000 waiting to be released from MSB, the company that we use to bill. And for technical reasons, we will certainly have that $100,000 to us. I don't know they haven't really released it to us yet, but it's there. So I'm still projecting a shortfall, but not nearly as bad as I thought. Altogether, I'm sorry, yes, ma'am.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
But am I understanding this correctly, potentially, that the Medicaid services are part of our special ed?
Yes, Medicaid, I mean, I'm not an expert on this, but Medicaid services are our special ed department. Certain people in special ed can bill Medicaid for some of their services. Some paras, speech language pathologists. This MSB is a company that has software that every school that I know around here uses. And so you'll go in and you'll say, I spend an hour with a child, and I don't know what the rate is or whatever, but it is related to special ed services, not regular ed.
So are we really doing that? Are we really doing less services, or are we doing services and something's happening with billing kind of thing? So if we're projecting that special ed's going to need, or student services are going to need 400,000 and we've got 100,000 here, do you know what I'm saying?
Well, you mean that means we need a net of 300? Is that where you're going with that?
No, so what I'm wondering is why.
Why we didn't bill 200,000?
Yeah,
Well, the money we need for the special ed, 400,000, that's all related to tuition, which is not anything. Medicaid services are stuff that gets done within district. As to why this number is not meeting 200,000, it can be a combination of things. One, maybe some of our staff hasn't kept up with entering their time with the kids in the system. I don't know that, but that could be one factor. Two, what you can get, the reimbursement rates and what qualifies for reimbursement sometimes is different from year to year. A few years ago, there was a year, probably 5 years ago, there's a year we got $50,000. We were thinking 200, and there was a year when the state said all this certain stuff that wasn't from certified staff you could get reimbursed for example. That has changed, which is why we went back to budgeting $200,000. But I can't tell you with any expertise if we're still allowed to get reimbursed at the same rate for the same things as we were last year. I need Karen to speak to that.
okay. So I guess the question is, do we need to readjust what we're projecting?
Maybe. To me, the first thing, and this is the conversation I had with special ed, is first, and it's not casting blame or anything, but we need to make sure that everyone has got everything to MSB that they need to put in there, and it's got to be done pretty timely. And I'm not saying it's not, I'm just saying that's first check. It's the easiest thing for us to do is make sure that it's April 17th. You should have stuff in the computer up till someday real quickly, April 5th. I don't know what the date is, but you can't be 3 months behind,
Yeah.
for example.
Just as a Medicaid provider myself, Medicaid's been pretty slow this whole year, paying me in line with the data breach with one of the healthcare insurance companies. So it may also just be that
Slow.
they're slow on reimbursement right now specifically. It's normal around Christmas time that they're pretty slow with reimbursement, but this has been pretty extended.
Maybe the same people do the FAFSA, which is a joke.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that just might be something. I don't know, so.
We're also looking at the provider itself, MSB,
Yeah.
so I know they've gone through several management changes, so our special ed department is looking at our current contract with them to see if there's other providers that
Right.
maybe could be more efficient with training and technical support and billing.
Am I back? Nope. I thought it was back. Sorry.
Were for a second.
So I don't think there's going to be too many changes. We're going to get every penny we need for district, obviously stuff. The tuition is up to date. I went to Shea and we looked at the spreadsheet and what is owed to us for the kids that are in the school. So that might change a little bit if some kids drops out or something, but essentially these numbers are pretty hard. except for, are we going to get more Medicaid than even we're projecting here? That'd be great. And so that money, that $35,000 has to go back to taxpayers. You can't spend any unexpected revenue. So whatever we have left in expenditure, say we have 100 grand left in expenditures that we can go back, we would have 135 based on this projection. So I mentioned the finance facilities. We always put a list together of projects that we would like to do at the end of the year. We're going to do that again, present it to finance facilities. I'm not really projecting that we're going to obviously have much to do, but if F&F would be, look at that list and like it and approve it, if there's money, then that's how we would handle that. Any questions about that?
So I just have a question. So what kind of things fall under rental income? Because that's another one that seems like we were kind of off the mark on budgeting this year.
Yeah, we might need to adjust that next budget cycle. So rental income would be someone who gets a Category 2 or Category 3 facilities use, and we bill them for it. And our buildings are used heavily, but they've really been used heavily in the last 18 months with Category 1 stuff that's not going to be charged. So,
Richard, you had a question?
Yeah, what's the story with the vocational line items, both in the expenditure report and the revenues? It
Yeah.
seems like the numbers are quite different from the budgeted ones.
yeah, to speak with expertise on the revenue side, I'll have to educate myself and get back to you. So vocational, whether that's an accurate term these days or not, that's what the state calls it. The 1,300 lines on the expenditures, that's the money, when you see that, that's what we spend to send kids to Hartford Tech.
Okay.
And so $660,000 was budgeted, I'd have to go back and see, it was a certain number for 65 kids, whatever that math is, and that's what, had been pretty accurate. We have more kids, Ian's still here. Instead of 65 is a good estimate, we're estimating like almost a year out as far as who's going to go there. And 65 was pretty accurate for a number of years, but I think this year we have over 80 kids enrolled. And on top of that, Hartford Tech has significantly increased their tuition. I mean, I think it was $9,900 a year per child to like 11 or 12. I'd have to look that up. So that's why we're way behind on that. On the enrollment side, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
I'd leave that there because I'm pretty grumpy that they jacked the rates up so quickly. But it is what it is. On the revenue side, so we get money from it. There's a form report we have to fill out. It's called an AT4 report or something like that. That's based on, again, those kids going there. And the state of New Hampshire reimburses us some for tuition and some for travel, meaning our bus. And that's what we got this year. So, when we go into budgeting in the fall, I've budgeted 160 and 25 for several years. But again, we got 147 this year, so I need to educate myself on, is 145, 150 a new normal? Because it is a little lower than it usually is.
Yeah.
So, but the number we get for revenue is based on the enrollment reports that we have to put together for the state.
Right, okay,
But I don't know the ratio.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Tim?
So the audit report, the letter that's in there, the first few pages, again, the end of the letter are literally the audit numbers they give us that we have to make adjustments after they're done. So they go through our books and they say, everything looks great, or you need to make these adjustments because we say so. And so that's what we do. But the report is, the letter is the important part. The first couple pages of the letter talks about how they audit, what they look for. On page 2, it says significant risks identified. I just want to explain that. It was a good question. They're saying, Project and Sanderson is saying that as they do audits across the state in municipalities and school districts, they've identified significant risks in governmental agencies, and so they developed an audit approach that tries to address specifically management override of controls and improper revenue recognition. So that's not what we're doing, that's what they're looking for in particular, among other things. And I would also say, even as I'm turning that, I don't think we've had them here, but Project is more than willing to come here and give a presentation. So if you want to do that, maybe that would be helpful in the future. But on page 3, At the bottom, it says other significant matters, findings, or issues. These are the findings, as I talk about findings, and we own them, and we're going to do better. The first finding says deputy treasurer. They recommend we have a deputy treasurer. This came up last year. Lisa actually gave me a name of someone to do deputy treasurer. I was talking with Barbara, who's our treasurer, elected treasurer, about maybe we connect and figure out how to train this guy. And I'm not making excuses, but then June hit, and I didn't care. I didn't even think about a deputy treasurer. That was our cyber attack. So I have been lax on chasing down this guy, but no excuses. Well, I'll chase down the name that Lisa gave me. If he's not interested, I'll ask you if you know somebody else who might be. A deputy treasurer is someone who's not elected and it stands in if Barbie quits or something worse. Investment policy, there's an investment policy that we do have, but we have to update it every year, and we did for a couple years in a row, and then I lost sight of it. So the investment policy, we were related. So those first two in particular, I own. Outdated policies, this might be an audit finding for every district, I don't know, but they noticed a lot of our policies are outdated. And the last one is untimely student activity fund deposits. And not trying to cash blame at all, but if they find a deposit, the date of a check, and the deposit for that check was more than a day after or so, they write it down. And the high school, considering the amount of money the high school gets, they do really well, but they found one and there it goes. So we seek to do better. And the rest of it is for reading at your leisure. You can ask me questions now or whenever, but I wanted to make sure you saw this.
Anybody have questions for Tim about the letter, about the audit report? So I think we had both of those, right? The deputy treasurer and the investment policy, they were both on there the last
Correct.
time as well? Okay. So, and then the outdated policies was also on there as well because but we're working on that part and you're working on these two, so
Correct.
hopefully they won't be on there for the next time. That's our goal.
Did they happen to list which policies they thought were particularly outdated, or are we?
You said anything over 5 years.
They gave us a list, which
Okay.
I think we've now.
We've done all the finance ones to
Okay.
update them, and we're working on the other.
We are. We are indeed.
You saw your binder.
Trial by fire.
Thank
Okay,
you very
that's
much for your
good.
patience.
Yep. All right, thank you. Sorry. Okay, so back to Karen's update. I don't like your title. The deputy director, what is it? Director, district director of equity, curriculum, instruction, and assessment.
I'm Karen Dubois.
Thank you.
No one really knows what I do here. Something to do with
I know what you do.
curriculum
I
and
just want to call
equity.
you Karen like Madonna. I don't want to have a whole title. I just want to.
Hi, everybody. I just have a quick update today about our use of ESEA federal grant funds. It's just a brief update, but I want to highlight our good work in meeting our goal of using these funds more fully in support of our students. So these are funds that are provided, they're federal funds that are provided to districts to supplement our regular offerings and augment the student experience. We have historically made great use of our Title I funds. Title I supports at-risk students in meeting academic standards. But in previous years, we were not fully deploying some of our other grant fund pools. For example, Title II is a puddle of money is not particularly eloquent, a batch of money that is allocated to schools to support teacher professional learning. And we've moved from using only about 20 to 30% of the allocation provided to us to, I think this year we're on track to use 98% of it. Highlights of our planned programming include SAU and building leadership work last summer to build cohesion in our building and district leadership team, coaching and a community of practice initiative at LMS, summer literacy institutes that took place last summer and are planned again this summer, and professional learning that is directly related to our new curricular initiatives, including our K-6 math initiative this year, and again, our literacy initiatives for next year. Other areas of our grant programming include Title IV, which is a sort of a difficult-to-use grant. It has a lot of strings attached to it around how you can use it in support of students, but it falls into the buckets of well-rounded students, safe and healthy students, and the effective use of technology. We've moved from entirely declining to take that allocation to, again, I think this year we will use 95% of it, and we hope to use 100% of it next year. Highlights there have included purchasing technology devices in support of our ELL students at the high school, mobility bike to increase access to PE offerings at our high school, revitalizing the instrument program at the high school with new instruments, especially those big ticket items like a timpani that are really hard to provide and really enriching to our students. Next year, we anticipate using some of that funding to continue to support a behavioral health consultant in one of our elementary schools and to provide social emotional learning initiative at both of our elementary schools. And finally, there's an additional batch of money that's allocated just to rural schools, and we've moved from using, again, none of that allocation to 79% last year, and we think we'll use 100% this year in partial support of expanding our summer offerings for our Title I students and to support some of the professional learning that I previously mentioned. So I just wanted to share that positive update. Finally, you'll recall that our ESSER funding is winding down and coming to an end. A portion of that was allocated to COVID-related learning loss. Just to revoice what we've used that money for, some was used for our diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant, our really successful math pilot program that my predecessor began and that we've implemented this year. And finally, we'll wrap up with our literacy pilot program that's ongoing, and that'll take us through the end of that funding stream into the fall. That's it. I just wanted to share that update. It's not a particular, our efforts to redeploy this, to more fully utilize this money has coincided with the state really shifting the way they're asking districts to engage with these title grant programming in a more intentional and proactive way. So I'm pleased to report that we're getting on board with that plan, and it's leading us to use the money more fully in support of our staff and students.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments for
about that?
Karen? No? Thank you.
Wow, no questions.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it. Let you off easy today. Thank you. All right. We'll move on to unfinished business. We have some policies.
So I'd like to make a motion to adopt the policies listed under unfinished business, A through G.
B is a withdrawal, I believe.
B is a withdrawal.
Oh. So we'll move B down to the bottom.
So A and then C through G.
A and then C through G, yes.
Can I get a second for that? John? Okay, thank you. Anybody have anything to say about those policies? We've talked about them before. It's just second readings. No? Okay. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hands, please. Unanimous. Thank you very much.
So I'd like to make a motion to withdraw the following policies: EBCE, ICA, EEA-R, and BBB-R.
Which would be B and H, I, and J.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Can I get a second? Second. Okay, moved by Wendy, second by John. Any additional comments on those? No? All right, all those in favor of withdrawing those policies? Great, unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. That. Yeah, thank you very much, Policy Committee. We appreciate your Herculean efforts. All right, that moves us to new business. So we wanted to talk about the legislation, the Education Legislation Committee work group, whatever we are right now. So at the beginning of this, after we had the elections, we have had multiple people, and over the course of the entire time I've been on the board, we've talked about increasing our legislative advocacy, which heretofore Tia and Mary have been doing sort of on their own ad hoc. I asked John to help them do that, and they have met recently. And what have you all decided? What have you come to? What are your conclusions?
I kind of made an outline, and I can pull it up really quick.
Did they not put it in
That's
the?
easier. I didn't see it in there. Is it in here?
No, it's not in there. Yeah, you can just summarize for us. It's okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
So basically, creating more of an education legislation committee would be really focused on, we would, as a group, we would have some certain items of focus of different legislative pieces that are happening either in the state, probably mostly in the state. It could be national also. Any sort of legislation and policy that is going to affect education in New Hampshire, our students, our educators, then that's kind of more in the purview of us to make a statement. Like Lil said, I've also heard, even from people who are within policy, that they're really looking for more input from school boards specifically. So this is more of a way to streamline the process so that we're not just randomly coming at you guys with a statement to vote on that day, but we could, any member of the board could come to us with, hey, I'd like to maybe have a statement on this topic. We could vote and do a majority vote on whether or not we actually want to move forward with creating a statement. Then the legislative committee would then put together a statement that we would then bring forward to you guys to vote on, similar to what we've done in the past. And then the majority vote, it would pass. We could hold that, we could leave who this is to blank, so as things pop up, we've already got something in our arsenal. Similar to like policy was what I was thinking, we kind of have this list of different items of focus. So we already have something for the 306 minimum standards as they stand currently. We could potentially do something like universal pre-K, asking legislatures what their thoughts are or make a stance on whatever. Like, we would talk about that as a board, agree on that, write that statement, have any sort of input, any sort of amendments. We would not amend this statement without another vote and approval of the entire board. We would keep it as is. We may send it out to the Board of Education, to Sue Prentice, to, Sununu, to whoever. But the body of that statement would not change without the approval of the board. Anybody have any questions?
So what you're asking, and this is sort of the action part for us, is do we want to establish the legislation committee or whatever we decide to call it
Right.
as another standing committee?
Correct.
That's
So
the
that's
ask.
kind of the question being presented. Does the board want to formalize a committee, which we would then, considerations of that would be, we would have a chair, we would have a minutes taker, right to know, all of that stuff. We could present what's going on, what's happening. But we want to make it where the whole board feels like they're part of it, and not that it's just us presenting you with things also. You guys can also ask members of the public. People can then let us know, hey, this is a topic I'm interested in. We could discuss what specifically are you interested in, concerns, any sort of stance. And then we can also gauge where the board stands on different issues. And it just feels like it would be more helpful. A lot of these calls to action that we get happen pretty quickly. And so then we don't necessarily have time to make a statement on behalf of the board. And then I'm making a statement on behalf of myself, which is great, and it's more powerful if it's on behalf of the entire board.
So essentially a library of pre-approved boilerplate.
Basically.
I like the idea.
Jessica?
So I got a couple of questions.
Okay.
Comments, whatever.
Yep.
I think overall, I'm really appreciative of the work that the individual board members have done on the legislative work. I think it's been, I feel very supportive of the work that's been done, and really grateful that you guys have stepped up and done that. I think that in terms of creating a standing committee around legislative action, I think the big thing that comes up for me is like, what does it do exactly? What does it do, and where does it say what it does, and how do we vote on that? So in terms of like, the question that I'm thinking about the most is like, is this a committee which is mostly educating us about legislative issues in a neutral sort of nonpartisan way, or is this an activist sort of activism arm? And those to me, and I'll just like, so those would be my questions about like, what is the function? And
The function, just before I forget, it is intentioned right now to be nonpartisan.
And so I think then, to me, that would be like, how would we have like, on the other committees that I'm a part of, I don't think that the committees have charters exactly.
There's a policy that we have one policy, and it outlines the responsibilities of every committee.
But and so I would probably have to go back and read that with more attention, but I think most of the committees are sort of by their nature strike me as more functionally oriented and less potentially partisan, and so I would be interested in whether the specific items in that policy, if we just updated that policy to sort of what it would say. I think that like, in order to be supportive of creating a standing committee, I would probably need some language to look at, which you may have.
Do you want to hear kind of my statement of purpose that I've put? It may not answer.
I don't know, because I think it sounds like we might need to update like we would want to update an existing policy.
Hold on. If we decided to do this, which we do not have to decide today, we are sort of talking about this, the first time we talked about it. If we decided to do it, we would have to update, there's at least two policies that it would affect.
That would be BDE and BDE-R.
Exactly. BDE and BDE-R, those are the two, one that spells out the specific duties of those policies, and one that talks about what our standing committees are. There's no policy that prohibits us from doing this, right? So this is, I want to make sure that that was the case. And we would be then having to approve the language that would change those particular policies. And again, I think you're right. Like, whatever we decide, we're going to see language before we make a decision to do that, because I think it's important, especially if we're going to be changing a policy. We want to make sure that everybody's on board about that.
And I guess I think that what strikes me about this specific committee, if we just decide to move forward this way, is that I guess from a sort of like resident, students, district, community level, I would feel pretty strongly that it be, I wouldn't want to create a hammer in search of nails, where sort of we create a committee that is seeking out sort of things to take a position on, and thereby creating a very politicized environment for our school board. Not because I don't think that like I'm not trying to be unsupportive of the school board making positions and stuff, but I think that I appreciate that, at least right now, it's sort of incumbent on individual members, when they are passionate about something, to bring that forward to the board and ask for an action. And I feel like that's appropriate and fine, if onerous on the individual members. And if we had a standing committee that was sort of maybe found, if we never know who's going to be on the committee, we don't know, and what's going to come out of that committee. Is it going to create turmoil when that might have been those would be the things I would be wanting to make sure that that whatever language we had sort of was clear about. And to be clear, I'm not trying to like cast aspersions on anybody or anything. It's more thinking about like not about what's happening right now, but what might happen in 2 years. years, 5 years,
Right.
7 years, and wanting to just,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I agree. I think that we'll want to be careful in how, just like, at all points. I mean, I want us to be careful with policy always, right? To be careful
Yeah.
with what we decide on and what we agree to. One question I had, and it's not, I don't know if it's a question, it's more of an idea. One idea that I had when I was thinking about, okay, this is, if we're going to have a standing committee, it goes back to your question of what does it do? I thought that another thing that we have talked around in this board a bunch, but we have never really made any significant progress on either, and it seems somewhat connected to this, is professional development as a board. So board training, board, not just new member orientation, but the kind of webinar training that happens all the time that some of us go to and some of us don't, and we've talked about that. That's something that we could do. A lot of the things that we have potential training on from NHSBA is related to the legislation that's happening in Concord, right? They overlap a bunch. So that maybe that's one of the things that this committee is not in charge of, but one of the things that this committee is doing also is making sure that we're keeping up with our professional development goal, which we have, but we haven't done very much on it. Sort of individually we have. But again, that's just an idea, and I don't know if the current people on it even care about that. This is just an idea. So Wendy, I cut you off earlier. I'm sorry, you were going to say something.
So, I don't know what I was going to say.
I'm sorry.
But to me, so I wonder if one sort of first step that we could do instead of making it a full formal standing committee is to think about it as an advisory or ad hoc. I don't really know what the difference is without looking. But that way we have some control to shut it down and dismantle we would either way, but just sort of do a pilot test run and see how it works.
And our advisory committee policy, which Richard can tell me what the name of it is, but I read it today, but I don't remember the letters, but our advisory committee policy says that when we start an advisory committee, the goal, whatever the charge of the advisory committee is, it has to be in writing, and that there has to be a prescribed time limit for the advisory committee. So we could do that if we were thinking of this as like a pilot. We could say we're doing this for a year or whatever we want it to do, and we would have in writing, and again, that's the language that we were just talking about, sort of this is our starting language.
I do like that idea because
Yeah.
I think the intention is that this is advisory. It's not us passing things without you guys knowing or amending anything without you guys knowing.
Well, and I think the thing I actually like about that is not that I would be worried about like whatever, but I think also that I think it is a good practice for boards
try it
to
out.
have sort of like to have a year where you sort of, or some period where you have to like try it out before to have a bar before something becomes a standing committee, just because you can wind up with like a gazillion standing committees and it's stupid. And not that this would be that, but just to sort of as an expectation, say like if we're going to create a new committee, it should spend a year in a more tentative position or something. I feel like something like that feels appropriate.
And I think the other thing too, maybe a format for it could be similar to what we do with the New Hampshire School Board Association. So there's like recurring, I don't even know what they're called now, but like we vote on things that then they sort of have a list of things where if it comes up in legislation, then they sort of have the agreement from the group around,
Their
like,
delegate.
yes, we're going to advocate for this, or no, the majority of the group doesn't want to, so loosely we may be able to use that kind of
Structure.
model.
So it's the delegate
Yeah.
assembly is what she's talking about, and they have a list, we've seen this before, but they have a list of statements that the NHSBA members agree to, and then whenever legislation comes up that has to do with those statements, and the NHSBA acts in behalf of the member groups.
And each year, then they're
It changes.
re-looking at those statements and then deciding whether they continue.
Yeah, and I think and this is not a political statement, but given our current political climate, we need to be looking at that probably pretty frequently, because you can't anticipate, 6 months from now what kind of legislation will be out there, because some of it seems very out of left field. But So it would, maybe we'd be looking at it frequently, but yeah, it'd be nice to have statements, because that would, I think, going back to what Richard was saying before, that would give us, if we all agree that we support X, Y, and Z, then it gives the advisory committee more space to make the statements without having to come back to us every single time for a different topic, but.
Which I think it's important, because a lot of these will pop up fast.
Yeah.
Faster than we meet is
Right.
part of the issue. And by the way, it's BDF.
Thank you.
You are going to become.
I know. I'm doing exactly what I shouldn't do if I don't want.
Too late,
Keep
too late.
showing me that you're
It's
interested,
done.
and I'm happy.
The die has
to-
been cast. Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm gonna do a little, a minor devil's advocate thing here, just because I think one thing that's worth thinking about is, I guess I have a little hesitation about sort of having a list of like, these are our positions kind of situation, where we're kind of like, this is the stuff we believe about whatever issue. Like, on the one hand, it sounds great, because handy. On the other hand, I do feel concerned about the fact that we are 9 individuals. We are the current school board, but we are the current school board. We're this
Right.
moment's
So I
school
have to keep
board.
changing,
It
yeah.
turns over pretty frequently, and
Agreed.
we are representatives of a lot of residents who have different viewpoints, and I think that to some extent, it behooves us to keep an open mind about
Yeah.
evolving situations. And so I'm not saying that, I don't think I'm not trying to say anything especially radical, but I think that like there is a value to sort of being quiet a lot of the time, so that then when it is time to say something, we're saying it in that moment. We're not saying it sort of for everyone all the time. I mean, I think there's a thing there to be a little careful about, I guess, and
I agree. I think the thing, too, is that we're in control of how we phrase these things, right? And so in some ways, this kind of goes back to what we talked about a while ago under different contexts, but there are some kinds that we can phrase things in such a way of like, we support students in these ways, like the development of students, and the sort of our mission statement as a district, our care statements, like those kinds of things. So that's one way that we could go, is that we're having those kind of statements, and then we're finding things that fall under those, or as things come up that fall under those categories. So we have control over that language as well, and I agree, I wouldn't want to make particularly inflammatory statements if we don't need to, because I don't think that's.
That's not the intention
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly,
Right,
right.
like the last 2 statements were not inflammatory or partisan.
no, agreed.
Right? It would be
Absolutely.
But
along that line.
I think what one group considers to be inflammatory is not necessarily what another, like,
Sure.
there are differences there. And so I think that, again, I'm just trying to make sure we're a little bit cautious about the fact that, like, I feel very supportive of the actions that have been taken so far. I think there's been some comfort for me in the fact that they arise of a moment, and in that moment, we can meet them, and we aren't sort of creating, a truth for all time or something. So I want to be supportive and also sort of raise concerns about like how we will maintain some caution, I guess.
It also occurs to me that there could be another function for such a committee, which would be to simply bring before the full board things that are coming up really shortly on the legislative docket that might be of concern
That
to the
is one
board.
of the, yeah.
Which it sounds like when we say like education.
And
would
that's
be-
what we're,
I could
we
see
would
that.
come with like, these are coming up, vote
Right.
majority. Do we even want to focus on that? We're not just
Right.
going to come at you.
Yeah.
Because right now, we're kind of having these statements. We don't necessarily know how everybody on the board even feels. And then you guys are being presented with this in public in the moment. And this way, one of the intentions is to make this more thought out. So everybody's got that time to think about it, and we don't have to present it to this big thing, and then now we're having this, right, like, it was intention to make it a more thoughtful approach.
And I think to make it more, and this is, the other thing that makes me happy besides policy is more administratively streamlined, which I also love. So I do like that idea of having it be less ad hoc and more moving towards more formalized. And I think having this interim, we're going to try it as an advisory
I
sounds.
think that's a great idea. Yeah, the
What do you-
advisory.
Mary and John, you've been quiet. What else? What do you guys think about that? The people who are on it right now.
I mean, it's fine. It's fine with me. I mean, I was new to the process and new to the board, and I hear what Jessica's saying. I think those are all valid concerns, and I share them. And so, I think if the purpose is to inform the board about what's happening and when the board feels like it wants to take action to prepare those statements, I think that's valuable. But I personally don't want to be trying to take action that I am passionate about that I don't think is such a huge thing for the board either. There are certain things that I'm really passionate about, and there are other things that are out there that I'm not. And so, I also don't want to be in that position on the committee where, I need to be forced into writing a statement that I don't even believe in, and then I'm going to vote down as a board member. So, I think it's touchy
Yep.
in that way too.
Which is why it's good to have try it out to
Right.
see how we.
Yeah.
Yeah, part of me just felt almost like it was, I don't want to be somebody going rogue on legislative
Right.
action stuff. I want there to be full board input, and getting 9 people to agree on something is not necessarily going to be easy. And so trying to, the advisory, having a year test it out makes perfect sense. Bringing this in terms of formalizing was more to just start the discussion of how can we move forward. So, I'm not offended by anything you're saying, right? That's what we wanted. We wanted this discussion, what makes sense for the board? Please be part of this, so I'm not going rogue. So, I do appreciate
I
it.
agree with everyone. I think that the advisory piece is a good idea.
Okay.
Any test drive of anything, even curriculum and.
So I think then we are not necessarily taking action except to say, could we task the current working group with, and I think you're almost already there, but sharing with us an idea of what, if this were the advisory committee, what would it look like? What do you envision it looking like? Thinking about it in the language of the standing committees, just because I think that helps us to, in the future.
As you say, in a way, whatever, so that it conforms
Yeah,
with
with
the policy.
with the policy that already exists.
That would be, so that we can actually take action on it.
Yeah, so
That would be great.
what I would recommend is you're looking at policy BDF. Under that policy, any advisory committee, specific topics for study or activity shall be assigned in writing to each advisory committee. And then after completing its assignment, it's supposed to be either given new problems or dissolved. So given those things, what would we be looking at as the assignment we would be giving to the policy? I guess that's what I
Right.
like to
So
say.
the assignment we're giving to ourselves. So
Yeah.
what is the?
Yeah.
So there are currently 3 or 4 people? that
There's
are
only
required?
3.
Okay.
On purpose.
We don't have a quorum. Yeah.
I think as long as it's under 4 or less, it
Yeah.
doesn't need to have,
Yeah.
unless there wanted to be a 4th. I think 4 is the max of what it can be.
So yeah, so right now it's only 3 on,
So I think
By
the only
design.
question about not sort of establishing something, so if they meet again to sort of create that, that's not, because it's not formal yet, they wouldn't be following open meeting laws. So
right, as an advisory committee, I don't think that they have to.
I think they,
don't think
I
that-
think that they do.
They do? Or I think they, so they just have to, we have to start saying that. They have to start announcing that they're going to be having meetings.
I think so.
I think so.
Even before we've actually formed the advisory committee?
Well, so just so we're sort of,
Yeah, I
that
mean,
we
that's
understand
what I wonder,
that.
because the track committee was advisory, and, I mean, their meetings were, public to the extent that people knew about, but, they were never really publicized, they were never really posted, so.
I guess I would encourage, to the extent that if we're using this as a trial run for turning it into a committee, I guess I would encourage the advisory committee to act as if it is a committee, and then
Yeah, it's not gonna, we can't err on this. Erring on the side of more transparency is not bad. So
Yeah,
I think that's gonna
that
be.
strikes me as being like a perfectly reasonable expectation, that like
Yeah.
it would act, that like once we have actually created it as an advisory committee, like at next meeting or whatever, that it would then do stuff well.
And I can
Follow
put-
the right to know law.
Got one.
And I can put the group in touch with other districts that have education
Yeah,
legislative
the other-
committees,
other
either
boards
both
in New
standing
Hampshire
or
have this.
advisory, because other districts are doing this. And
Yeah, that's great. All right. Does the working group feel like they understand their charge right now? Yes? Is everybody on the same
Okay.
page? Okay.
Yeah.
We're giving you the head nod. We're not going to vote. We're just going to give it. Okay. Thank you for your
Thanks, guys.
work.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Yeah.
starting the conversation. We appreciate it. And for doing the work. All right. Going to discussion and action on approving the donation of $10,000 from the Byrne Foundation for the LHS Science Olympiad dues and fees. Can I get a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to approve the donation of $10,000 from the Byrne Foundation for the LHS Science Olympiad dues and fees.
Motion by MJ, second by Richard. Sorry, he beat you, Mary. Second by Richard. And we've discussed this already. Are there any additional comments? Additional thanks once again to the Byrne Foundation, and congratulations again to the LHS Science Olympiad teams. All those in favor of approving the donation of $10,000? Unanimous, thank you. All right, then we will go to discussion and action, a motion to approve the donation of $5,000 from the Post-22 American Legion for the LHS basketball backstop repairs.
So moved.
Oh, Jessica's gonna move.
basketball, it was baseball.
Baseball, I'm sorry, baseball repairs.
So moved.
Thank you. Moved by Jessica, second by Mary. All right, thanks. And we are grateful to them as well for helping us to improve the baseball backstop. All those in favor? Okay, unanimous, thank you. All right.
Do we have any idea what $5,000 for a baseball backstop?
Is it, what it would, I mean, it's the metal, it's the fencing, right? It's the thing right behind the pitcher. That's a big thing. I would think it would be, yeah, I would think it would be more than that, actually, so.
Just repairs, though.
Yeah, repairs, but it's, I mean, even repairing like chain link is expensive now, so I think that's what it would be.
Okay.
Do we have any additional, we don't?
no additional
Okay.
information.
That's our best guess, having seen it. All right, next, we need to accept the donation of $2,000 from the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation, also for LHS Science Olympiad dues and fees. Can I get a motion on this?
So moved.
All right, motion from Richard, second. Oh, MJ, okay, thank you. I know, you guys got super fast. All right, and we're grateful to the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation for this. Do we know who asked for this?
Yes, this is from the high school, but this is from the BioX Self-Fund. That's one of the advised funds from there, and they are located at Lebanon Road in Lebanon, New Hampshire.
Oh, okay, great. Well, we appreciate their application for those funds on our behalf. Any other questions about this? All right, all those in favor of accepting this donation? All right, thank you, unanimous, and we are grateful to everyone who donates to the district. We are very lucky with the generosity of our community. All right, committee updates. F&F met on April 15th. And who is your new chair? I do not even know. Oh, Jessica, congratulations.
Yes, we met on April 15th, which was last week. And we had.
It was Monday.
Monday.
That was 2 days ago. Feels like about 9 weeks ago. We met with the new director of facilities, John Kerber, and which was great. He's getting settled in and learning lots of things, and is very grateful to Dana for his support and assistance as he gets up to speed. We had a robust conversation about the capital improvement plan, and which was great to have John there, because we sort of talked about how to make our capital improvement plan more accessible for decision-making, and what that might look like going forward. And we also got an update on the construction, and we talked about having potentially a board meeting in the new new space so that we can take a tour of it, which maybe we have an update on. And that is what I remember from the meeting right now, because it happened 2 days ago.
The next meeting will be at the high school in the library, and we will have a 6 o'clock. We can meet to do tours of the classroom space in the kitchen at Hanover Street, and we can look at the ongoing construction at the high school.
Great.
So next month, we're at Hanover
Next
Street.
May.
And half an hour earlier.
And half an hour earlier if you want a tour.
All right. Policy Committee also met April 15th.
Sorry.
No,
If we're meeting at the high school, we're meeting in the library?
Yep.
So how do we get into the building?
Yes, somebody needs to unlock the building for us. We cannot.
We'll make sure it's unlocked.
But we come in at the side?
The side door.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
come in
going
Senior
on
Square.
Senior Square.
Okay. So we'll just
Which
want to
is
make
this
that
side.
clear.
What's-
Those that don't know
yeah, I
what
was gonna
Senior
say,
Square
what's
is.
It's so if you're looking at the high school, if you at the very farthest away from the high school, there's the road, right, that you're going past the high school. This is the entrance that's opposite the road. So there's a big tree right outside. You can see it from the parking lot.
There was signs.
There were signs.
Or
They're not really
not
signs.
anymore?
It's
Okay.
across from the field hockey fields.
It's
Right,
only
so
main
between
entrance
the
that's open.
field.
Okay, I'll drive around till I
Open
find
the
it.
door
But like
for the
honestly,
toilet.
that place is
It is.
surrounded by fields, parking lots, and streets. So
Right, so,
it's not helpful.
yeah, it's
to
not
those
helpful
of
at
us who
all.
don't know.
I will draw you a map.
We'll
When
figure
we,
it out.
when
We'll
we,
figure it out.
when
It'll
we
be
did
fine.
the tour,
We're capable human adults. It'll be fine.
We'll draw you a map. It'll,
It looks
look
like a
at,
main
but I don't know where
entrance,
that
and
is.
the only one.
draw you a map. It'll be easy.
We can carpool.
Super easy.
I heard a lot about the potholes somewhere, but I don't think that's
We're not telling you
We
where
talked
those
a
are.
lot about the potholes in the finance facility.
Okay.
But I believe we'll figure it out.
You'll
We'll get-
experience them on the way out.
Okay. All right, Policy Committee met April 15th.
did,
You did. Anything to share?
nothing new.
Okay, good. Doing their work. Next meeting is May what?
13th.
May 13th.
You guys had a big day on Monday.
Yeah, it was a big day. Education Committee met April 1st.
We did. I don't recall anything that exciting. We are keeping an eye out on the Ed 306 minimum standards, and just trying to be aware of how that is going to impact the school district in the future, those minimum standards, right? So, waiting for those.
Yeah. Yes, it was just kind of a business meeting. There was nothing really else. And our next meeting, AC's next meeting is May 6th at 4 p.m. PNN will be meeting over the summer. Is that the next time that you all are meeting?
We haven't met yet.
Yeah, and that you will
We meet in this, yeah.
meet in the summer.
Will
Okay.
somebody let us know when we're going to meet?
Yeah.
We have to elect a chair, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
so Amy's going to let you know before you elect a chair. Student Wellness Advisory Committee, next meeting is Wednesday, May 8th at 3:30 p.m. at the SAU office. HACTC, their next meeting is Tuesday, May 21st at 10 a.m. at HACTC. The Area Committee's next meeting is Tuesday, May 14th at 6 p.m. And the School District City Task Force, next meeting is TBD. and that's
April 23rd.
April
No,
23rd?
May 23rd.
May 23rd?
May 23rd.
May
Oh, I put it on my calendar.
May 23rd, okay, at 6 p.m.?
And we'll, Amy, you'll be in touch with the city about setting the agenda for that meeting?
Yes, if you guys have any topics that you would like to be on the agenda, please send them to me. I will get them to our city manager.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Okay, future agenda items, board member recommendations or questions. Are there any?
Did we, so the piece of correspondence that we got, did we want to talk about that on the next, at any point, or is that just a thing we're just?
We are going to be talking about it at the next meeting because that's related to the early childhood update. So yes, we will be talking about it. Thank you, though. Any, yes?
Our attorney, Jim O'Shaughnessy, would like to meet with the school board before negotiations. So would you like to coincide that with a regular school board meeting, or would you like to have a separate meeting? His idea is just to get a general census of where you guys are with negotiations for contract, and then he'll move into the PNN committee.
That's a good question. What are your thoughts? I mean, he's just going to update it and talk about it.
Yeah, and then if you guys have ideas and stuff that you want to
Do we want to have that after, because it would be a non-meeting because it's with our attorney, so we could have it after a meeting, we can have it before a meeting, we can have it another time.
A different day, these are kind of long
Different day,
meetings.
these are long.
We can do a different
nighttime.
day, that's totally fine.
Yeah, if we, could we
Well,
do like a
remote would be even
remote, could we do
better.
a
Like a
remote
remote
meeting?
separate-
Yeah.
Like,
That's
yeah.
fine. with me.
And then we just would need the CBA to review before.
Our current, yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, perfect, I'll work on that.
CBA is online. Anytime you want to read it, it's right there.
Okay, just a link to it for those people who don't know where it is.
It can be tricky to find. You have
It
to
can,
like go
yeah.
here, go there.
Yeah, right. So we'll do that's a Zoom meeting, that's a good idea, actually, and, yes, John?
Different topic.
Okay, hold on.
Different question.
So, does that make sense? We can just get back to it? Okay.
Yep, I'll get
That's
that
all.
and get you guys out.
And just for Amy's information, our evenings are still fine, just different evenings, if we were doing a Zoom meeting,
So long as it's not a Monday evening
because of planning board.
planning board.
Mm-hmm.
You
Any,
have gluten for planning?
yeah.
Oh,
If you could
Other-
avoid
yes,
Thursday
I am.
nights, that'd be
I
great.
can't deny it.
Avoid Thursdays.
I'm asking for it.
Avoid Mondays, avoid
How about a
Tuesdays.
Tuesday evening?
Tuesday. Yeah.
As long as it's not one of the
Like
DEI
Tuesday at
committee
4:30,
meetings.
would you guys want,
4:30 's fine.
no Tuesday?
It'd have to be
Like you're
evening.
talking 6?
Probably,
All right,
but, yeah.
That's
like
fine.
after 6, okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other, yes, John?
My question is, we were asked to reach out to the principals for the buildings that we were assigned to.
Yes.
Have they been informed? I didn't want to reach out.
Yes,
to-
they know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, they
Our
know.
building principal reached out to us.
Yes, as did mine.
So did ours.
Yes.
I'm meeting
Wow.
with them tomorrow. I'll cue on tomorrow.
So, but yes, if they haven't reached out to you, feel free to reach out to them and just establish some sort of connection going forward. They're going to be, this is a very busy time of the year for them, but soon that will all wrap up, and so maybe over the summer. Meetings would be good. Any other questions?
Just following up on the request for an update on outdoor education programs within the district.
Yes, that will be hopefully on the agenda for May 8th meeting, if not the second one. So
Thank you.
the schools are working on their slides.
Wonderful, thank you.
Perfect. Other questions? Recommendations? No? Okay. Important dates and district announcements. Our next school board meeting is Wednesday, May 8th. We will come at 6 because we will do our tour and we will meet at the high school, to which we are going to draw a map. And then at 6:30, the meeting will be at the high school library.
Can we just, because I feel like we're in that like slide towards abruptly there aren't meetings anymore, can you outline now what our meetings are for the rest of the year, for the rest of the school year, just so we have them on the calendar and know what they are?
I can. I sent you all an email with this, but I will also, give me a second to find it now.
Oh, I apologize if I thought we had only gone up till like now, but,
No, we went to June, but it's gonna take me a minute to find it.
okay,
so.
then if it's in an email somewhere, then don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
and I can
I'll
just
find it.
resend it.
I have it in my calendar.
Oh,
You
great.
want me to just?
Yeah.
So I have May 22nd, June 12th.
May 8th first.
Oh, yeah, sorry, May 8th, sorry.
May 8th.
May 8th, May 22nd, June 12th, June 26th, July 10th, July 20, oh, wait, never mind, sorry.
Just July 10th.
Yeah, we were done until that.
And June 12th being our potential first strategy meeting,
Yes,
and the 26th being our retreat.
potentially. We haven't worked out what's gonna be what there.
I think
but-
that was sort of, yeah, that was
We
kind
had-
of more my question was like, what are, and this, I say this as the person who is nominally going to be
Yeah.
preparing some
So
of the materials for
we
these
had-
meetings.
So
I'm
that's a
wondering
good thing.
what
So
we're doing.
looking at those dates.
Yeah.
Those last three, the June 12th, 26th, and July 10th,
Yeah.
those three.
Yeah.
That's, one of those can be a retreat and two of those can be the strategy meeting. So you can get back to me about which of those works better for you.
Okay.
Because, yeah, since you're nominally in charge of part of those, that would be good. So just let me know.
Okay.
But those are the dates.
So we don't get time off this summer?
We do.
After July
August.
10th.
You get all the way from July 10th to August 20-something. Yay.
As I think I spoke with you before, I won't be able to be here on the 26th.
Yeah, that's fine.
of June.
Yeah, and there's some people have to be gone for some of these, which is totally fine, because some people have to be gone for everything, that's totally fine. Thank you, and I'll resend that email so everyone has it fresh. Okay, any other business? Is that other business? All right, no. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
It's only 7:49, we can't go yet. There must be more.
Nope, let's do it. Kevin, do you want to make the motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right, motion to adjourn, second by MJ. All those in favor? Excellent, thank you. Meeting is adjourned.